just a quick one. Wasim it's a very interesting for me because I've met him, this is a month ago, Wasim, and I've heard about Chainsight through a Bybit meetup a couple of months ago. So shout out to Saad, who was a pioneer here. Regardless, what I wanted to say is, when I met Wasim, he definitely piqued my interest, and I said, okay, I have no idea what are you telling me. And he was trying to explain to me that what Chainsight is supposed to do and how they're trying to revolutionize, basically, layering all the layers that we currently have. Okay. And I was like, I have no idea what he's saying, but he's so incredibly well explaining it to people who have no idea from a technical background. Okay. And I just want to say, put your hands together, give you a round of applause one more time for Wasim, and he's going to give us an incredible presentation, and I'm only looking forward to it. Wasim, the stage is yours, sir.
I don't know if I need a mic, but
no, we've established that we do need a mic.
Hi everyone. My name is Wasim Fukase, and I got invited by Jerry. Thank you very much for the Crypto Pioneer, and I'm representing actually Chainsight. It's a project on ICP, and I'll just go through later on. But let me quickly introduce about myself. Does anyone know which country that is? Yep. So I'm actually Japanese. I'm half Japanese, half Indian. Born and raised in Tokyo, and US in New York, LA. I've actually come to Dubai in 2001 initially, and then left to US, and then came back in 2013. So since then, I've been here in Dubai. I'm pretty sure every one of you have lived in Dubai for quite long. Yeah? All right. So yeah, you've seen the changes. You've seen the new industries coming in, new people coming in, old people leaving the country. But yeah, people come and go, projects come and go, markets as well. So my initial career, I started on what is called SPK Holding, which is a family office based in Abu Dhabi. I was in charge basically for investments over there. And actually, one of the projects that I was involved with was 7-Eleven. I'm not sure, have you guys lived here more than maybe 5 years? 5, all right. So back in 2014, there was a convenience store called 7-Eleven. It's one of the global convenience store around the globe with like 70, 80,000 stores, outlets. So my boss wanted 7-Eleven. It was like, I'm going to give you $300 million for the initial investments from my pocket money, bring 7-Eleven in. So as a team of 6 initially, as some of us were Japanese, we went to Japan, we went to US to get licensing for 7-Eleven. We did succeed. We brought it back here. It took about a year just to kind of settle, understand, and build the first store. Unfortunately, I left in 2017, but also as 7-Eleven, they kind of retrieved around 2021. But it was a good kind of experience for myself, learning about retail markets around not only in Dubai, but entire UAE, as well as entire GCC. So I was one of the board members for that project. But when I left around 2017, I was already kind of in learning of crypto, which was very much attractive for me. And that's why I kind of, one of maybe a small reason that I left was to kind of join into that ecosystem. And back then, has anyone been in crypto for more than maybe 5 years? There you go. There you go. How about this 1 or 2 years? All right. So yeah, people actually come in when there's a good market, of course. And that's where back in 2017, I've seen a lot of like OGs coming in into Dubai, whether it's tax reason or whether it's kind of community building, mainly tax reasons. But yeah, a lot of people started coming in. I got to kind of interact with those guys who I would say 60, 70% of people used to live around Marina or Palm Jumeirah. So they were, yeah, I do agree. But yeah, there were some others. Yeah, those were pretty much interesting. I did start trading a bit, but I knew it wasn't for me. I couldn't just sit down on my chair just looking at laptops or the screen itself. So I decided to kind of do angel investments on like seed projects. Everything was good, market was good, everything got really good. After that, I created a few companies myself. So I'm now doing kind of a general partner for this company called Diverse Management. I do advisory for DIWA. So thank you very much for paying all your utility bills as well as hotel for renewable energy. And as well as I do VC called Helion Ventures. This Helion, based in DIFC. So I do a partner over there. However, this past 2 years has been like a quite journey. I did meet very good team members. I clicked. They're half of my age, I would say. But they were very, very technical. They were very, very kind of futuristic. They had the vision to it. I think it was the initial 15 minutes of call. They've asked me to join, and I was like, okay, I'm joining. So that's the company that we built last year, actually. We're all from DeFi, so decentralized finance backgrounds, either from traditional finance or from system development of bank system or central exchanges, wallets. So we created this company called Horizon X, based in Dubai. Our C-level members are based in Dubai. As Jerry mentioned, one of my co-founder was a speaker at ICP Hub with Bybit. And yeah, so these are team members. We're currently 10 team members within Horizon X. What we do is basically we make our own protocols. And once we do that, we kind of understand what the actual pain is after that. So we do leave some of the team members to kind of run the other protocols. And then the core members actually kind of focus into coming into new projects. So yeah, mainly a lot of people are here, but mainly gathered with Japanese guys. Members are in Japan, some are in Singapore, some are or I'm actually sending one to India and one in Canada and the rest in Dubai. So yeah, what we have done actually, and it was pretty interesting kind of journey for past like 2 years building ourselves as a project was even before that, the team were all together. So we have built a system for DMM Bitcoin, which is one of the big central exchanges in Japan, as well as some of NFT projects with marketing companies. And what you see here as Starlay Finance. So these are 3 protocols: Starlay, Kagla, Mu. These are 3 protocols that the team have built within 3 months. So 3 months, 3 protocols. It's basically a fork of Aave Compound's Curve under one of Polkadot ecosystem. We launched it last year in March. And who's actually interested in DeFi here? All right.
I think we are all relatively.
All right, majority of you guys.
But we feel DeFi market is gone.
Sorry?
DeFi market is gone already.
Of, Yeah, I mean, there isn't the hype as comparing to 2020, early 2022. Yeah.
Why is that?
So, good question. So, DeFi is still alive, and DeFi is actually kind of moving forward. So, you've it's so if you look into those little short history of DeFi, you've seen lending, yield aggregator, those what you see as a bank doing, but from there you saw like Uniswap, which was the DEX, and another fork of Uniswap, which is like SushiSwap and all those kind of building, and that became like a huge market out of it. But I think as one of the questions that you have asked, why DeFi has kind of load is because there hasn't been liquidity that has been comparing to early last year's. A lot of company or investors have lost quite a lot, tons of money out of it. Luna, so can anyone anchor? You said FTX.
Celsius.
So, have anyone got wrecked from the market?
Yes.
So you had Luna, every aspect of it just went like a chain. And last year, everyone was having a horrible times. Maybe not here because we've been lucky enough, but you see a lot of companies actually gone or run away or fugitive, get arrested. But yeah, DeFi was actually one of like a thing that stabilized market. That's what I believe in person. Starlay had good 500 million TVL. So if you're talking about the TVL, which means, so it's the total locked volume. Yep. So it's someone lending you money as liquidity. You have the pool of money which goes. So that's one of kind of key factor within DeFi market. So you have such as like websites like DeFi Llama. If you go into it, you see all the protocols on DeFi's with how much TVL there is, and that basically becomes like a factor of the ranking. You've got Aave, you've got all this like protocols, which is still alive, but again, DeFi has been kind of improving themselves. So you have V1, V2, V3, and it's just evolving as it is. So we did have good 500 million TVL, which was in top 10 of the world's DeFi market. Month later, Luna crashed. Everything just crashed. So it's still ongoing. And then we started working on some of projects. So there was a lot of like new L1s coming in with new languages. We start looking into why cannot we do another lending protocols, but more advanced. We did work on it, but we had to kill it last November, which was unfortunate. But we learned something that we really wanted to do is the building like a credits. So I'll explain about Chainsight later on, but with our team as Horizon X, we were kind of really getting help from a lot of people around UAE, other countries, Singapore, Japan, other regions. We did get some of like awards for DeFi awards, which doesn't really make sense for this market, but yeah, we were together with like Bybit, Binance, all those central exchanges. But let's see if we can get it this year as well. And also we've been getting help a lot from Internet Computer, so ICP. Who knows about ICP here? Okay, so no explanation. And has anyone learned ICP through ICP Hub?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Learn
Yes.
it through SAD. So SAD has
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
sad,
All right. All right. So yeah. So he's doing a very good job if you're learning about ICP, right? So we actually came up the concept of this Chainsight last. We had it, but we didn't proceed it, and we were actually looking into lot of different chains on how to build it. We went through Cosmos, we went through different, Ethereum net, learning about if we're able to kind of scale our idea into reality. But we were lucky enough last April to kind of meet the ICP team. They were here in Dubai, and we had a good, dinner talking about it, technical stuff. And I'm not a technical background, so bear with me. I'm also on your side, So we've been getting a lot of supports from different people, but what we wanted to do, if you're looking into the market range, is, of course, when it comes to crypto, you're not really talking about like markets and stuff like that, volumes. It's more of ideologically where you are at looking at the market. But if you're looking at like a total addressable market of entire blockchain, so this consists of whether it's DeFi, NFTs, anything that you are involved in Web3, you're talking about like 455.78 billion. That's quite huge, right? For a market that just came in within like this 10 years, maybe, as a blockchain. But Middle East and Africa is about 7.6 billion. We're talking about Asia as 4.1 billion market size. And if you're looking at those charts, I mean, it's pretty much understandable that Middle East and Africa has been kind of increasing markets rapidly comparing to any other regions. It's still, US has a huge market. So a lot of protocol, when they try to kind of build it, the customer base are mainly in US, mainly in Asia, I would say. Some are in Africa, but depending on what kind of protocols you want to build, if it's NFTs, maybe this region might be good. If it's DeFi, this region might be good. So it's definitely something that you really kind of consider. But yeah, as a company, as Horizon X, we want to kind of achieve, what we want to achieve is kind of target these kind of area, because we're actually from there, as well as we're familiar with it. I've been flying in Asian countries every single month, going to Africa, not too many Europe, but going to events. And
Which countries mainly in Africa?
I would say Nigeria is a good big market.
Not anything in the west and the south. That's too
Yes.
early for you.
As well as regulation comes into play. So some countries are banned to use crypto, right? And that's also a part where it comes back to your question on DeFi. Why has DeFi kind of, because regulatory authorities are stabbing you've probably heard about, even central exchanges getting sued nowadays. Not nowadays, been long. But this regulation has to be kind of there as well. So I personally, as Horizon X, we've been actually working with like ADGM based in Abu Dhabi on DeFi regulation. How can we do it? So those kind of conversation comes back and forth, which is, in my personal opinion, it's ADGM is good comparing to any other regulatory. I've spoken to Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Estonia, even Saudi and UAE. I didn't want to go to US, but talking to these regulatory frames also, it really understands like how their aspect is or how their approach is. So yeah, from my personal opinion, ADGM has been like very helpful, useful, given us tools, given us insights, and yeah, I do recommend that.
ADGM is the way.
I would say, but
Do you have connections if at all there is a need to open certain doors? You're business people.
yeah, we're all business people, so tell me what I can do, and if I can help, of course, please do let me know. But yeah, so what we're building right now is called Chainsight. Have you guys gone through analytics tools or anything like that? Who's here as a trader? Who does trading? Okay. What kind of like figures do you use? Like what kind of data do you use?
On-chain metric on Glassnode, for instance, trading like order books,
Order books, okay.
wallet tracking.
Wallet tracking, okay. So there are a couple of factors when it comes to trading, when it comes to like tools, analytic tools, stuff like that. From our end, what we really wanted to do is initially, we wanted to solve a few problems that we saw while we were doing DeFi, as well as when we entered blockchain space. And we basically have very limited data of smart contracts. So what is smart contracts?
I knew this, but I
Anyone?
Very interesting code. Yes, based on decentralization.
Yeah. So it's basically a blockchain, right? Itself. Everything's basically done under smart contracts. Everything gets, saved on a block. That's why we call it blockchain. But not everything is actually recorded as a history. So if I'm walking 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, it should be recorded. But if you're using like central exchanges, what happens is they're only giving you a data that's what we call off-chain, and you're only knowing the end results of it, right? So there is a gap between what you call off-chain, where maybe the data can be false. There's a chance to it. And when you have that kind of aspect, well, when we're in this space of crypto and decentralization and everything like that, it just doesn't work. So what we wanted to kind of use, especially on DeFi, was like to create like an index protocol. If you're in like trading or anything, who knows like S&P 500 or Moody's, right?
heard of it. Not
Right.
really.
So it's basically an indexing, if that's correct. Right. And that was kind of the initial concept of what we wanted to build. So if I know this information is okay, then that can be indexed, meaning I know if it's AAA, AA, triple B, those kind of concepts. As well as we thought launching this would kind of create the next version of DeFi, meaning I'm from traditional finance and I understand how the traditional finance works, right? So you're looking at all the past data, which is there as truth. No, there's no blockchain to it. But when it comes to actual DeFi, like product projects or even smart contracts, GameFi or social fi, any kind of what we call fi, some of the information are complex outside of smart chain. So you only have the end results to it. So what we wanted to kind of play around was we wanted to build like price volatility, adjust optimize risk parameters, as well as like assets rating. So these are mainly terms in financial, kind of thing. But we wanted to what we really wanted to build was this processing layer to access the smart contracts. So meaning on-chain historical data. So if someone builds a historical data according to it, you can actually go through to analyze those information. So if you're traders, you can even use those information from past to analyze if it's the right data. If you're, if you have a token, that means either you are governance, so you have the rights. It's like you have the shares of a company, so you have the right to say voice. But that doesn't also work in the current market. Someone who has, say, Aave token at the most, he makes the right best decision out of it. No one really has, the small voices doesn't have actual information. So that kind of played around and catched our eyes, that, hey, we're talking about decentralization, we're talking about, being fair, but it wasn't. And as a reality, yeah, just living your life, nothing's fair. Everything comes with a price. So, right? So, sorry?
The smart contract. Basically, a smart contract is like any execution between a buyer and seller where it's a contract.
Yeah.
A smart contract is self-executable without the need to. Now, you're saying there it's like access to limited data within smart contract. Are you specifying any sectors or general?
So we're talking about general in terms. So right now, what we're building as Chainsight, it's EVM compatible. So Ethereum virtual machine. So anything under Ethereum, whether it's L1, L2, so Polygon is the L2 of Ethereum, right? So we can actually utilize those data, pull out data.
Let me ask one more question, just for me to understand.
Yeah.
Usually contracts are used for commodities or futures or whatever. Now when you're saying you want to create an index for smart contracts, usually those future contracts are defined based on the standard of the underlying assets, which is, let's say, whatever the commodity, it's a clear definition. Let's say a barrel of oil is a defined size, defined quantity, defined delivery future, whatever it is. So that's why I'm curious to know, what do you mean by smart contracts?
Here.
Yes. and
Okay.
these contracts.
So
Because let's say, sorry, let me just add a little bit to the context.
Sure.
Let's say I'm doing a contract with you to buy your house. You have, let's say, Las Vegas mansion on the top of it.
I wish.
And
Yeah.
let's say, and I'm interested to buy it. And right now we have everything we own is on the chain, and all the government's data and everything. So we do the contract without us seeing each other because we trust the system and everything is done. So that's a smart contract done. You deliver the ownership, I deliver the coins to you, done. Now that's also a smart contract. Now when the commodities market trade or the stocks or the whatever, those future contracts are based on a defined underlying asset that is tradable. Now that's why for me a general statement like smart contract like that confuses the heck.
Right.
Until you really define it, I don't know what you're trying.
Right. So yeah, that's actually right. So smart contracts, basically, as you mentioned, it can be basically any kind of tools, right? And here, what we're mentioning is basically the kind of the aspects of the on-chain and off-chain data smart contracts. So the process between, so as you mentioned, smart contracts, as if I believe that you will sell, or if I'm going to sell my Las Vegas mansion to you, you have to trust me to do that.
Let's keep it simple. A P2P transaction on Binance today, it's a smart contract.
Right.
Right?
But that's
on the DeFi.
yeah.
Now, that smart contract, how are you going to quantify an index for the P2P sector?
So this would be more used actually on the DeFi side of it. So it would be utilized as, so what, let me rephrase it. So when we are talking about this smart contract on Binance, everything's not on-chain data. So you're only seeing the transaction of the end of it, which is boxed. So it's like if I can give you an example, I order, say, a food. I don't see the process of getting cooked, but I'm getting the order at the end of it. That's off-chain.
The process of creating the food is off-chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's one thing, like Binance, Bybit, and a lot of the tier 1 exchanges after the FTX disaster did release some proof of reserve data.
Yes.
So is there any, like with chain analysis, with what you guys are doing, is it possible for your end user to like point which data he's looking for based on any available data online, or purely on chain?
Purely on-chain. So there are some tools, analytic tools. For example, Chainlink. You've got the Dune analytics. Right. So Chainlink is more used like that, getting feeds from different. I'm getting data from him, her, getting average it, and then I'm making the numbers out of it or averaging it. But when it comes to, say, Dune analytics, it's more of the different way of creating on-chain data. And that's where we thought historical on-chain data is very important to kind of create, to whether it's DeFi, as you mentioned, smart contracts is very, very general terms. But one of the...
Let's say we're going to speak about indices. The S&P, it's an average weighted index.
Yep.
The Nasdaq is a capital weighted index. And let's say the Hang Seng is a different method of calculation. So there's a lot of variables that
Yep.
and codes. So unless you define, let's say you're looking for seed today. So unless you define a pilot stage, the hell out of this is confusing.
So that's where you built the on-chain data on Chainsight. So depending on who the analyst is, they want to know, they want to understand how to analyze data, right? And you don't look around, say, that's why you create your own analysis reports and probably give it, provide those. So this is the concept of Chainsight, where as a developer, you can create your analysis as on-chain data by not only focusing on one chain. So right now, if it's Ethereum, it's Ethereum, so EVM, right? You cannot push data from one chain to another unless there's a, so that's why we call it interchain layer as Chainsight. So interchain processing layer. So it can go through, for example, from, if I'll show you like a demo video, what it does. And I think that would kind of summarize it, but we actually wanted to kind of bring in ICP, and we were actually very lucky to have a grant from Divinity Foundation as the first like Middle East Africa project. And what we saw in ICP was basically we can collect data from external chains. So ICP can now is integrated with Bitcoin, integrated with Ethereum as well. So that's basically the very difference comparing to any other chains. So this was like what we call events or states can be actually pull out data from different chains and then analyze it and push it back or push it towards different chains. It's getting a little bit technical, but another focus on ICP was it's something called canister. So canister is like a data feed where you put, say, one ICP token and it just burns fuels within canister. Other chains would be every transaction you have to keep on paying to it. So that was a concept that we saw interesting on ICP, as well as what we're trying to do is ICP is actually written on a different code language called Motoko. It's not very popular. A lot of developers are actually coming from Rust or Python. So as a Chainsight, we actually started not from Motoko, but we actually built it on Rust and Python. Other dApps that you see, it's actually built on Motoko. And the most interesting thing as ICP, a little bit technical, but was threshold CDSA. So that was why we were actually going into ICP. This is a kind of comparison of why we're actually building Chainsight and how it differs. So if you're looking into these four like segments, have anyone or does anyone know or have seen this logos?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
CoinGecko.
June
Okay.
analysis, CoinGecko, and Chainlink. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Chainlink is one of like big player in this analysis game, as well as Dune is. So these are some of the comparison. Bit technical, but just to summarize it, Dune allows like simple analysis using SQL, and Chainlink is basically provides price data and other chains with just large number of feed. So that's basically the things. But what we're focusing is totally different segments where it's basically focused on the historical on-chain data. Let me hope it works. Yeah.
Very patient. Sabr.
And yeah, later on I'll send you all the links and everything. So, oh,
Do I need to have access on
maybe. Let me just hope it works. Oh yeah.
Is it demo?
Yeah, it should be a video. Yeah, so this is actually a live data feed that we're pulling, except for one transaction. So this is just a dashboard demo. So we're updating the demo right now. And what we're trying to do is, yeah. So here, there's a stable token called DAI from MakerDAO. So what we're trying to do is we're pulling out some of the information from like Optimism and pushing the data into Polygon. So it's a bit, so usually if it's Optimism, it's under Optimism. If it's Polygon, Polygon. So you can't really kind of connect through those data feeds. But here, what we're trying to do is we're using ICP as a middleman, where I can collect data, kind of focus it, and then push those data towards different chains. I'll send you the video. That's fine, if that's okay with you guys. Yeah.
We'll probably have it in your.
Yeah, the QR code. All right. So right now, we're still like a startup project for this. We have actually released a CLI, command line, which is for developers. So if here anyone is developer or if you know any devs, please try to utilize it. As well as we're trying to kind of go through the next 1 year, 2 years down the line, working on partnership, through monetization, and we're actually gonna create like a dashboard where we're gonna be selling those data out of it, where it can be utilized for banks, corporates, as well as like traders, those kind of stuff. So these are some of like technical stuff that everyone might be really kind of what the hell is happening. But yeah, it's basically something that we're trying to build. We did get some notification from the internet computer side, where we've been having a lot of like R&D calls with these guys, talking about technical stuff, talking about how the market should look like. So this is actually on their internet computer sites.
So sorry, what is your current market for your, basically, I know you have competitors at the moment, and they occupy what the current market share. Just so people have a perspective, what is your potential valuation for future, and what you're trying to capture essentially?
Sure. So there are some projects that's upcoming, talking about historical on-chain. And if we're talking about apple-to-apple comparison, there is not too much in the industry. We're only looking at like analytics projects, right? If you're talking about those market share, if we could go through, it's a little bit different segments, but we could probably go through like 25 to even 30% of the shares to kind of conduct, especially on DeFi projects, not the big ones, but the second, third, fourth largest ones who wants to become the first utilizing these kind of historical on-chain data, or even like as analytics people who want to kind of analyze accordingly and make the decision according to what the actual evidence is. So it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna catch Jerry because there's no fact, but maybe he stabbed someone, right, as a rumor. So we all want to have those facts, and that's the very important factor of blockchain or itself, to have historical on-chain to make that make the right decision out of it. Basically we got the grants. We've been a little bit active comparing to last month on social medias. We have partnered up with actually a university to create academic paper. So we did issue that in July, second week of July. So we do have like advisory from 2 economics professors going through Chainsights, how to utilize Chainsights. That's way above my conversation. But yeah, going back, we've been announcing the partnerships with layer ones just to make sure that we understand their ecosystem itself. We're talking with several protocols within those ecosystems. We should be able to announce a few more upcoming during this month and next month. We were actually invited to, as Chainsight, we were actually invited to this X Founders Bootcamp. So my co-founder and CTO, he's now in Turkey right now with the Avalanche guys, Polygon guys, Internet Computer guys, going through 1 month, just developer focus, which I will never go. But yeah, we've been a little bit active more, going through Web3 TV, going through ICP events, and I think that's where Jerry initially saw what Chainsight was. Last week was another ICP events done by Said himself, and we at Cypher Capital. So we were lucky enough to get a lot of, and I think this does not happen unless there's a community getting built. And I think that's one of the reasons Jerry has been building this community. There's a lot more community also in Dubai, and I think that's something very important to kind of support each other, especially in this, yeah. So yeah, that's about it, but let me know. I'll be here all night. Until everyone leaves, but please do scan, follow us on Twitter. There's also like our early access users that if you can register it, that might help to understand more. I'll send you a demo video, of course. I'll just put it on the QR code. So